Yes. Hey guys, welcome to Broad Street to Britain with me, Dave Shaw. I'm not sure about the new intro.
I like it.
I like it.
Is it good? I think.
I want royalties though. I want royalties.
Well, yeah, Dave, you better pay the guy that made up the Alec Bones.
Right. I didn't even get to sign waivers either. That's a legal lawsuit coming my way then. But I don't know. I think it works better on YouTube than podcast. I think that's going to sound a lot on podcast. We'll let it run. Hey guys, welcome to Broad Street to Britain with me, Dave Shaw. And as ever, I'm joined by some great guests. First of all, of course, Alex Carr. Alex, how are you, buddy?
Dave, I'm fabulous. Very excited to be here. Very excited to be joined by these fine gentlemen to my screen right. Hi, boys.
How are you doing?
And enter right, we've got at the top, well, obviously watching on YouTube, you can see, of course, on the top, we've got Stuart. Stuart, welcome back, buddy.
I know. This is third time. I've lost count. I'm starting to lose count now.
You're on a 3 in a row now, Stuart.
Great.
Hat trick for me now, and it's great. I've got beautiful Scottish rain outside to look at, plus your beautiful faces as well. So,
what a
What
flirt.
could you want on a summer evening?
Exactly.
And of course, we've got Sam, who was on the London Review Show. Welcome back, Sam. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, good, guys. How are you doing? Nice to be back again. Unfortunately, couldn't make it last time due to prior arrangements, but
Happy birthday, by the way, Sam.
thank you very much.
Hey, 22 already. That's crazy.
21, but thanks anyway.
Okay,
Again.
all right. I have a shot.
It's the light in here. That's the problem.
And of course, Alex, tomorrow as we record this is a special day for you, Alex, and all Americans. Happy. It feels weird saying Happy July 4th.
Yeah,
He's
I'm not
actually
gonna do it.
that. That's like very. Like, do you actually say that?
It actually is a very special day because two of my very closest friends in the entire world who are getting engaged. I'm very excited. We're going to a lake house that their parents own, and we are celebrating their engagement on July 4th. So it is a very special 4th of July for me. Even if America and I have had our differences along the way. I'm excited. It is a very special day. So thank you, Dave.
Are you bringing fireworks?
I don't know. I have no idea. We're gonna go. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna eat some burgers and celebrate two very special people. So
I'm sure you'll have the weather for it because
I hope I haven't even looked.
You're in the midst of a lovely summer, whereas ours seems to have. Well, I don't know how your weather is, Sam. I know you got rain in Scotland. We've got rain down here.
Same.
Summer's been suspended. Very apt weather for the election tomorrow.
Last week was summer. Now we're back to winter.
This is miserable. Driving back home from work in the gym today was just. And of course, we got election day tomorrow where we all go to the polls and vote. But
Question is, have you voted today?
Are we voting tomorrow?
No, I mean All-Star.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Whoever. Wow. Look at him go.
Hasn't the voting stopped as we talk, or is it?
I think it's stopped now, yeah.
Has it? Okay.
An hour ago, our time. Yeah, 5 p.m. So the most important votes are in.
Yes, the ones we really care about.
Yeah, the ones, the results that we all really care about. And of course, this weekend, the biggest weekend in the British sporting calendar. Not only will the Phils be facing the Braves, we've got the Euros, of course. Come on, England. Quarter
England, who have been playing very well, as opposed to this side of things. Yeah.
Me and Alex can relate now with our nations. He's got. I've got Scotland.
But at least you guys had a fairly refereed game. Holy
I saw a lot about that.
What in the world was that?
Yeah. I've only heard about it.
And don't get me wrong, Uruguay's the better side, 100%.
But you want it to be a fair game.
But you want it to be fair. and that was crazy. I don't know what's going on there.
There's something sus about it. We won't dive into that rabbit hole, but nothing. Watching it, there's things that didn't make sense. But
why do we have VAR?
England, Switzerland on Saturday. Of course, we got Wimbledon, the British Grand Prix. Huge weekend of.
That is a big weekend.
And of course,
all going on down here.
And of course, if you're in London, Passyunk Avenue Sunday, Phillies v the Braves, likely to be Mercado. Pitching. We can't work out who the Braves will have in the lineup yet. But if you are around London, come on down and join us. There's going to be a few of us down there. Sam, you going to be there?
I hope so, mate. Yeah, I'm going to see train times again because obviously last time it cost me £75 an Uber to get home.
Oh, that's true.
I'm going to have a look and see.
But
I'm sure the two of you will be delightfully sober as well, which is
of course.
Well, technically it's a school night with work the next day, so I can't go as heavy as I was for London series. But the game starts at 6, so we should be done by 9, half past 9.
Yeah.
I need to make a 10 o'clock train back, so I think we're safe. Stu, are you travelling down from Scotland?
For one night,
for one evening.
Sadly, no. I'll probably be taking a rain check for this one. I did look at train prices, but I would probably have to take a mortgage out just to get a train. So that's
it's the thought that counts.
But you went to that effort and you debated getting a mortgage out, and I appreciate it.
His loyalty runs deep, this guy.
We appreciate it.
Otherwise.
So, huge weekend of sport. The Phillies, well, what a contrast to last time we potted, guys.
Oh God.
Our predictions were wildly out.
To be fair, I think so were any Marlins podcast that I saw make predictions. I think I saw 3-1 and sweep on every single docket. So
I think that was from both sides of the fence as well.
Yep.
Well, the worst part is you kind of convinced me to change my mind from 3-1 to a sweep. So I was raging as well. Which is still bad. Like I would have still lost, but I would look as bad as you guys. But I still,
to this day, no idea who Kyle Tyler is. I don't know who that is. Who the hell is that?
No.
Again, never see him again.
I looked up his baseball reference. He has I think he was a non-drafted free agent or like a very late round draft pick by the Angels, I think. And he's pitched 3 major league games, none as a starter. I don't know.
It was a car crash. It was like watching a car crash in slow motion. The worst part about it all, of course, was the Kyle and Bryce injury.
Yeah.
That is huge. And thankfully, we saw yesterday they are both back in training. Kyle looks fairly ahead of Bryce, as we were just saying before we start recording. I think they will wait till after the All-Star break and give Bryce the maximum rest available to then bring him back, which I think will be for the Pittsburgh series straight after. It makes sense to me. The Braves and Dodgers, that's 2 tough series to bring him back into as well. I'd leave him. I'd rest him. We still have. We've grown our lead over the Braves
somehow
as we talk right now to 9 games. Yeah. But wow, we've actually extended our lead over the Braves while they've been down as well. Kyle's due back. Spencer, I think, could be due back after this next Mercado start. So every win without these two, and even JT in the lineup, is huge. Which is why
when we went to London, I think we were 8 games ahead of the Braves, right? And we had injuries, but obviously Turner and Marsh just beforehand,
and Real Muto as well.
We came back and came back and had Kyle and Harper, and somehow we're 9 games ahead of the Braves now.
Right.
It is a major bullet dodged, but I also do think Spencer Turnbull is going to be out a little bit longer than that. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe 6 weeks was his injury timetable, unless I've missed something. So he is going to be out for a little bit longer.
Although saying that if Mercado is putting in performances like he did last night,
what's the worry about?
And Dave, good.
Exactly that. Next man up again. And Garrett Stubbs right now averaging 297 in his last 11 games. He's hit 10 in his last 11. Huge clutch double last night. Now, these games are at 1 a.m. for us. So for me, personally, this is a week of catching up on sleep after watching the whole entire week last week live. So I'm doing the old sleeping, waking up, no spoiler free, watching the highlights in the morning. Now, Stu, going to throw you under the bus slightly here. You did say before we started recording that you thought you're going to wake up to a loss. I'm not going to lie. I saw the lineup. I was the same. So I thought I'm not going to be missing out on too much.
Wow.
However, this team again just keeps on pulling out surprises. And talk about stepping up. Now, Alex, I presume you did see the game, so you can talk us through that fantastic Mercado start. The bullpen, other than a slight blip from the Ruiz.
Yeah, a slight wobble.
A little wobble, but then he gave Hoffman the opportunity to close out and save a game.
You got to give everybody a chance.
You got to give everyone a chance, right? And I think it was Destiny Legado who said that Ruiz, I think he's had 17 shutouts in his last 21 appearances. That's damn good. You know,
he's still. That's the thing, and this is something. Shout out to Paul Boyer as well, who always seems to keep reminding me of this. It was not long ago that the next guy up from the Phillies, minor league system was like Tommy Hunter, or like. Whose birthday it is today, by the way. Happy birthday, Tommy Hunter. Good riddance. But that was there was a time where that was the best the Phillies could do, right? Blake, not Trinan, definitely not Trinan. The famous Kapler bullpen that had
David Hale.
No, that was a Girardi bullpen, please. I can't remember. These are names of years gone by, right?
The sort of memories that we put to the back of our minds.
Yeah, precisely.
Not even memories. Yeah.
But there were moments where those were the guys that you were calling upon, right? And now your eighth man in the rotation, or in the bullpen, as it were, is a guy that gasses 97 with a really good breaking ball. I mean, it is. Yeah, his ERA has ballooned to a 4.3, but that is the result of a couple of meltdown outings. Whereas again,
Baltimore and last night,
Destiny mentioned that 17 of his last 21 have been scoreless. This is a guy that definitely has a place in a major league bullpen. And while I'm not sure that the Phillies are that bullpen because of how they've strived for excellence this year, this is a major league reliever 100%, and that's not me saying that he's going somewhere, right? It's, I know it can be easy to pick on the one guy that is struggling at the moment. But
right. And to be honest, you'd rather have his bad outings all in one. Like
absolutely.
You said, 17 out of
like
21,
Gregory Soto.
18.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's the point I was getting to. Just like Gregory Soto, who now his ERA is now at a 3.62. Again, doing a solidly under a bit like Dominguez, has all of a sudden just gone step back a little bit, figured it out, and all of a sudden now you can start to put him in higher leverage situations again. Dominguez, for me, I think, again, what a testament to our coaching that a guy who was struggling and was on the verge this close to the phantom injury, and to send him down to get him on some rehabs, all of a sudden he's just bounced back fantastically. And again, it's testament to the mentality of the players who are striving to get better, to strive to be a big part of this bullpen. They're not shying away from it. Dominguez, Soto, both put their hands up and said it's not good enough. Yep. Again, accountability. They've turned it around mentally. They're so much. Again, Soto's been vastly improved under the radar as well. It's been great. Like Dominguez, Orion Kerkering still a 1.47 ERA. Like this, Kerkering excites me more than Marte is still at a 2.93. It's just this bullpen.
When Junior Marte kind of came up and was just like, yeah, guys, I'm still here. Like, I'm still around. I'm still kicking. And he's outstanding right now. It could have gone 2 innings yesterday.
And you still, Sam, Stu, for us, we've seen many a UK-friendly blown bullpen games. And
it makes you wonder why you stay up that late for it. And...
Let's say we're talking about David Hale and Brandon Workman bullpen games. They were nothing worse than
2 different bullpens, but even then, that hurts.
Brutal. But even now, you look at these guys, and you get that unnervy. I feel quite relaxed with these guys coming in.
Yeah,
Well,
but it helps when your manager's not putting David Hale in to face Trevor Story with the bases loaded against the Rockies, right? Like that,
Girardi
it helps when you're set up in the right. Sorry, Stu, I cut you off.
no, that's all right. I mean, I obviously like Dave. Like UK Times is not friendly with the Cubs series, especially last night. And I was watching like the extended highlights, not just the highlights, but the extended highlights as well. And like I was watching the game, and obviously got to the ninth, and Reyes was pitching it, and then I was like, oh God, I know what's going to happen here. I could just tell because I tried to leave it spoiler free. And then obviously Hoffman came in, and I was just like, you know what? I'm not worried. I'm not panicking. And there's like, and the good thing about he is going to get paid surely after this. He has to.
This is something that I've been talking about with a lot of people, and it's really interesting. I don't think Jeff Hoffman's going to get an extension from the Phillies, but what I do think, because at this point, right, think about it from his agent's perspective. It would be malpractice to accept an extension at this point from the Phillies, unless it's market value, right? Which I'm not sure the Phillies would be willing to offer. Josh Hader just got what, 90 some million? What did he get? I can't remember. I think it was 5 years, 90 million, something like that. Unless you're willing to make that kind of offer to somebody like Jeff Hoffman, obviously he doesn't have the track record that Hader does, but I digress. It would be pretty malpracticey to not let your player hit free agency. However, the Phillies can just slap a qualifying offer on him. And if you slap a qualifying offer on him, all of a sudden he becomes a way less attractive free agent to a lot of clubs.
Yeah.
Not only does he then have the choice to accept or decline the qualifying offer, but if he declines that qualifying offer, he's going to free agency costing teams a second and a fifth round draft pick. And that definitely is going to make some teams stay away, which all the more likely, or makes it all the more likely that he could end up back with the Phillies. So I think in some eventuality, I do think he ends up sticking with the Phillies, but I just don't know what that looks like yet.
It's a tough one for Hoffman because he's 31.
Yeah.
So is that age where does he think he can test the market and get the big payday he feels he deserves, or does he want to again join this win now with the Phillies mentality that everyone has and everyone seems to be so bought into? It depends on him, doesn't it? Where is he in his life? Where is he in his career? Does he believe he'll take the qualifying offer? He wants to be here. He wants to be part of this special team and organization that we are right now, or does he see himself elsewhere wanting that big payday, which he may well get from somewhere? So it's an interesting, because he's at that age now where his next move is a big one for him career wise and personally.
Money talks in these situations, but I do think there is some credence to, you want to stick with the team that's helping you find such success.
Yeah.
And I think that, there's multiple ways you can look at this, right? He's a guy who has struggled with injuries in the past, but that also means that he's a relatively low mileage arm, right? This is a guy that you could see being pretty good into his late 30s. So I don't know. It really depends on how other teams evaluate him. What I know is, the Phillies are a better team with him on it. And if they can manage to lock him up for a, reasonable price tag, I don't see why he wouldn't be the closer of this team for the foreseeable future. I mean, he's been, ever since donning a Phillies uniform, he's been unhittable.
And isn't it amazing that Hoffman, 7 saves this year? You got Alvarado who can close. Kerkering is also always touted as a potential closer. We've got 3 bona fide potential closers right there on the team. Also, Tanner Scott's being rumored at the deadline. It's all those pieces don't go into one, do they? Especially with Soto, Dominguez, Alvarado. Then you've got obviously Marte, Ruiz. What a luxury of sorts the Phillies to have.
Well, that's what kind of said. He has to give everyone a shot there. He's struggling because obviously our starters are pitching so well and going into games and going into games late as well, at least 7th inning most of the time. And you've got all this talent. Like, this has become like a legendary bullpen at this point now.
And that's the really interesting thing is if you can manage to keep Soto and Dominguez and Kerkering and all of these guys operating at the level that they are, the more pressure you can take off of Alvarado and Hoffman, the way better in the long run for this team, right? If you're looking to make a long postseason run, it is really important that you keep your relievers in particular healthy. And the more that Ruiz, Marte, Dominguez, Soto, all of these guys can step up and show that they are, still capable of handling leverage positions, the more that you can take, and Strom, of course, I'm forgetting Strom.
I knew that was why. How could you forget Matty Strom?
The more that, you can kind of take the pressure off of those guys in, the majority of the situations where you don't need them.
Yeah,
and preserve them for later.
Strom's someone who could probably do a bit of rest right now. He's just leveraged a few runs in his last few games. A guy, because he's everyday Strom, isn't he? As T-Mac puts it.
He's unbelievable.
He's on it. Just needs that rest. It's good to have these guys to now carry the load a little bit. And it's great that our starters can go 6-7 innings nearly every single game now, which again
also
lightens the load on that bullpen, which is crucial. And not that, but
the Phillies have won 25 straight games in which the starters gone 7 innings, which is
crazy.
That's phenomenal.
That's unbelievable. And not only that, but the bullpen situations, in fact, you know what, the starters to an extent have been relatively low leverage. There hasn't been many high or even stressful situations there. I know Hoffman came into a situation last night, but again, got the job done, settled in. But these arms aren't really being strained even when they're coming in, which is, again, crucial down the long run. Like, I just think we're in such, and touch wood, the pitching stays healthy, because I think for us, that's going to be the difference between us and everybody else. I firmly believe this pitching, if we do win, or we do get to World Series, win the World Series, that this pitching is the core of it.
Yeah.
These are the ones where if your hitting isn't on the day, if we do get 1-2 runs, well, this pitching you feel can get shutouts. So we got so many shutouts already this season. It's and I'm happy with Dombrowski going out and getting depth. Tanner Scott would be. I don't know what would give up for him. I don't know what the Mariners would take, but there's a deal there if it can be done to bring Tanner Scott in. The pitching's just phenomenal. what a bullpen!
It's a good problem to have. That's the thing.
It really is.
Well, and it's a great luxury to be able to say, we'd like to add another reliever, but we don't have to.
No,
and that helps in leverage in those same trades, right? Like if you're going to, the Marlins and you're saying, hey, we really like Tanner Scott. And they're like, great, give us Aiden Miller. You're like, hell no. Like, I don't feel pressured into doing, not that would ever be the asking price. That Tanner Scott is a rental arm. That would never be a thing that they ask for. But you're looking more at the Phillies not too long ago in 2022 got David Robertson, rental bullpen arm, right? For a guy who now in Ben Brown is, looking like a really promising starting pitcher for the Cubs. It's unfortunate. It happens. But, you're looking at probably like when you go to ask about Tanner Scott, the equivalent is probably, somebody like George Klassen or somebody like that, right? A guy that has just skyrocketed.
Would you pull that trigger, Alex?
Dave, it's a very hard question because I'm not sure if I would rather. First of all, the Phillies have 3 left-handers in the bullpen already, 3 very capable left-handers, right? In Alvarado, Soto, and Strom. I'm not one to preach about handedness in a bullpen. I'd much rather side with stuff, but 4 is a lot of lefties for a sport that is predominantly, right-handed. So I don't know if that's the trigger I would pull, or if I would go look for somebody that maybe you can treat as a reclamation project and hope that you can use the latter 2 or 3 months of the season to kind of give them a little bit more time with their pitching coaches and really work it out. I don't know. It's hard, but I think I would rather, if we're looking at Tanner Scott for George Klassen, or somebody like Carlos Estevez or Michael Kopech of the White Sox, or Carlos Estevez of the Angels, for a top 15 prospect, I think I know which trade I would rather make. Now, they are making a World Series push, so you really can't put a price tag on that. But I don't know. It's hard.
But like you literally just covered that. I'd rather, if we were going to give up someone like Claxton, it's for a need,
right?
More than a sort of like Tyler Scott would be a luxury. Like what a get if we can get him for a good deal, absolutely. But Scott
and relievers are so volatile, right? Like it's hard to say, especially ones with erratic command.
and Tanner, he's a sort of off-season acquisition, if you like, that where his price tag could be a little bit lower because deadline is where teams will want it, and there could be some demand for Tanner Scott as well.
And it is a seller's market this year through.
There'll be some. I think he'll get a good price. He'll be priced out, but I think we'll look. I firmly believe we'll look outfield. To be honest, the hitting, Sam. This we saw. I said we sort of saw lineup last night and thinking interesting, but Stubbsy came through. Rojas got himself a hit. David Dahl. I think David Dahl and Bone were the only two not to get a hit last night. And Brandon Marsh. This team, next man up mentality. The offense, Turner came through big last night. It just seems like in any situation, especially when you sort of even think about backing against the Phillies and going, that may not get the job done. They just keep pulling themselves up. They keep grinding these wins, and every win without Kyle, Bryce, and JT is massive, especially when the Braves are losing as well. You just seem like, again, you grow in confidence of this team. There's just something about them this year.
And I think what we did well is when we had all the players fit and healthy, is we pushed on. We won the series, we won the games. We gave us that sort of the buffer that should things start to go wrong, we have the gap. We have the cushion now where we can afford to lose. Well, we don't want to split the series with the Marlins, but we can afford to do it. Like you said, with the Braves losing as well, they slip up. It's one game here, it's one game there, but we still have 2 full series gap ahead of them where we can afford to.
Yeah, a bit of leeway.
Yeah. And with Turner came back, I think perfect timing. Gave him a couple of games to get back into the swing of things before the injuries then for other players started picking up. And by that point, he was then hot. He was ready to, like you say, the next man up. He was ready to go. I don't think without Trey being in like sort of the game readiness as he was, if it was he came back 2 or 3 games after, or 2 or 3 games after he did, I don't think he would have been as hot as he is. And I think everything sort of just fell in nicely in sort of like a nice timeline. You don't want the injuries, you don't want to miss the players. We'd rather have them all back. But it's worked out well in how it's sort of, these things have to happen. Injuries will always happen in sports. It's part and parcel of the case. But exactly. It seems that they've come at a nice sort of steady pace. We've had obviously with the Eagles for years, 6-7 key injuries all at the same time, and it just the whole team just crumbles. So it's nice that people are coming in and coming back at the right sort of times when others are dropping out. And like I said, with the cushion we've got, you can afford to take these little slip ups that we're having.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was just going to say, we're kind of like obviously talking about the pitching and stuff, the players stepping up, but like the players, like when it comes to hitting, they all have like a game. So like Stott had the game against obviously the Marlins. You had Sosa step up when Trey went out as well, and obviously Trey's coming up, stepping up now that pretty much Harper and Schwarber are going to be out for a little bit. And like even like I first thought when Harper and Trey came back, kind of missed a step. But I understand he's probably been told to keep it a little bit easy, but like. Since the last couple of games, he's been crazy. Like obviously, what was it last night? Was it 3 for 5, 2 home runs, and
4 RBI? Yeah,
4 RBI.
He's like stepping up to the plate. But this is becoming like maybe our story of the season is like it's the whole team, which is really cool to see. Like I said, whenever someone comes out, someone has that game. And no matter what, like Marsh had the game against Detroit, wasn't it as well? He had a big game against Detroit.
Yeah, true.
Someone who's stepping up for games, like, so it's just really, really cool to see. Like no matter what, there's always someone you can kind of rely on. You don't know who's going to be.
Just pick a name out of the hat.
You don't know who's going to be, but that's what's been really, really impressive lately.
Yeah, everyone on this team wants to win every game, and that's
every single one.
Every single team, every single player wants to win every single game.
And are we going to talk about how he's hitting 340? Trey Turner?
Just getting to it now. So 3.38 is average right now. Now he's one of the guys who should be in the All-Star. I know he's been injured. He's missed some game time, but Trey Turner, just
casually,
just
a little 340, a little pepper.
it isn't it though? Like there's just
Well,
again
before it came to the Phillies, he was always one of my favorite players anyway. So obviously, when he's been doing this for us, it just means a little bit more. And I do think he might get into the All-Star because I think Mookie's probably going to be injured anyway.
I mean, he better. He better.
Yeah, you should. I mean, going back,
the only other option is Edmundo Sosa.
Well, I was going to say Sosa would be the next in line, wouldn't he?
I think so. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, you talk about everybody stepping up. I think if you had told anybody heading into this season that every single Phillies position player, sans Nick Castellanos, but I digress. Every single Phillies position player, truly, he really does. And it doesn't help that he's really hated by defensive metrics when obviously the eye test is going to tell you he's really not that bad. And a litany of other things. He's been.
Hang on, this is Nick Castellanos, who's averaging just under 300 in his last 30 games.
Right.
He had a good June.
Precisely. So the stat lines don't tell the whole story. But I think if you told anybody that all of the Phillies position players coming into this season are above replacement level, well above replacement level, like a full win above replacement level. Like already halfway through the season, I think they would have gawked at you because there were people that were like, oh, Alec Boehm, trade that guy. Oh, Kyle Schwarber, he can't play defense. Brandon Marsh, he's just a flash in the pan. Bryce and Stott, it was a good, sophomore season, blah, blah, blah. Like every single one of these guys are producing and they are producing consistently. Nobody is, outside of Nick Castellanos again, nobody's going through those streaks of like, they are destitute. And if they are, like Bryson Stott has been, right, they get picked up by somebody else, right? Somebody else just emerges. A David Dahl, a Cody Clemens, and Edmundo Sosa. Somebody else emerges to, make you forget about that, right?
Well, look at Stubbs last night. That
precisely.
Double, and Stubbs under the radar.
The tone-setting double, truly.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just, this team are winning games where even last year, in the last couple of years, we would have lost without a doubt. They're winning series. They're sweeping series. They've won more sweeps than we had already last year. Again, as Sam said, we built that buffer where it gives us a slight luxury of these injuries going down. And
you can take the hit now. That's the thing.
Yeah, these injury hits where the Braves are really suffering, especially with their pitching. They're 9 games behind, and their rotation is either their arms are going to drop off soon. They can't sustain the innings pitched throughout the whole season with their age, or they're all rookies, and you don't really know what you're going to get out of them down the stretch. Unfortunately, we're going to play them at a bit of an unfortunate time this week, but I think we've got 2 big series of them in September. They're going to be very interesting series. Let's see where their arms are then, because it could be, I don't know what the landscape will be by then, but if that's the same rotation they're carrying.
Yeah. They're what we'd call 6-pointers. If you was in the relegation zone, they
are. They are 6-pointers. They really are.
That's the make or break. That could swing it either way.
The other thing that's really interesting is there's so much more pressure on the Braves coming into this than there is on the Phillies, right? Even with the Phillies down 3 of their best players, regardless of the swing of these games, they're only gaining at maximum 3 games.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the truly interesting thing, is going to be to see how a team that already is really, disappointing expectationally, how that team fights against a team that really at this point has nothing to lose. They are, they're down 3 of their best bats. They're, going to Atlanta, and they are, they're kind of just showing up and saying, hey, you've got us, like, do your worst. And this team is like, it's up to the Braves to claw back these 3 games. Not the Phillies. Not
and at the moment, you don't really see it. They're 4-6 in their last 10. They've lost 2 in the straight. They're only now 4 games ahead of the Mets, who are coming out of nowhere and firing. But if they're not careful, they're going to lose that second wild card spot. The Mets are coming up fast. There's St. Louis, who are also now starting to chase them down. They're starting to get into a position where they're starting to look behind them more than ahead of them right now. They're starting to be dragged into the wild card dogfight, which adds more intensity to them. Whereas now we have that buffer. and I think the Phils are winning some series at a bit of a canter. They haven't really got out of second gear in some of these series, which again is good for the long run.
Yeah.
Whereas the Braves are now in a dogfight with everyone behind them. That every game they got to win every game. If they want to even get into the playoffs now, they got to perform. Yep. As Alex said, the pressure's going to build in them, which is putting the Phils in just a nice position at the top of the division.
But then can you imagine what that front office is thinking right now, right? Because every single one of those players is signed for multiple years.
Yeah.
If these drop-offs are something to actually be concerned about, now Austin Riley started swinging a hot bat, sure. But if, the drop-off of Matt Olson, if the drop-off of obviously, they have Reynaldo Lopez slated to be in the rotation for quite a while, but Max Fried is a free agent next year, right?
Oh, is he?
Yeah. Charlie Morton is a free agent next year. Or maybe he has an option year left. I don't know, but I'd imagine he's going to retire soon because he's getting up there. This is a rotation that, if you want to make upgrades, they have 3 rookie pitchers that are actual decent prospects that they can deal from. Right? They have Spencer Schwellenbach, they have AJ Smith-Shawver, and they have Hurston Waldrop, all of whom factor into their long-term plans. So how do you make significant upgrades to this team while the majority of your guys are already, signed long-term, where you want to keep these pitching prospects, but you want to deal prospects to acquire pitching that's going to help you right now? Like, what do you do?
Yeah,
it's really interesting.
Yeah, Atlanta are only 3 games clear now in the wild card, and that can diminish quite quickly because they're losing games they shouldn't be losing. That Pirates game, those schemes had
yesterday's game against the Giants.
The White Sox.
They failed to score a run against the White Sox. Come on, any team that does that does not deserve to be in the.
Agreed. And you know what? When Bryce and Kyle and JT all went down and it looks like they're going to miss that Braves series, at first I was like, oh no, this is the worst timing. Now I'm thinking, you know what? Our pitching could probably get us at least one win, maybe 2 wins in Atlanta. I don't fit, and not only that, but in Atlanta, the pressure's really on them. Like, they're not doing well at home. They're struggling, and the crowds are nowhere. They're not getting the crowds in now. It's starting to look a little bit empty and at Truist Field. So it's, you know what, I do quietly fancy that we could get something out of Atlanta this weekend.
Go ahead, Sam. No.
If you look 7-3 for us in the last 10 games, for them to, if we can get those 6-4 maybe for the next 20 games, 6-4, 6-4, it's still going to take them 30 games to even come even with us if they can improve on a record that we've got.
Yeah.
Now they're a long way from them even getting close to us.
I agree. And then granted, we've got a tough schedule coming up. We've got the Dodgers then coming to town straight after. Although the Dodgers, when they play East Coast, it's like us going west. They're not the same, whether it's a time difference or what. The Dodgers don't seem to be the Dodgers of the West Coast when they're playing back in Dodger Stadium. Then we've got the A's, which we should.
It's winnable.
But after the Marlins series, I don't dare predict anything
winnable after that.
The other really interesting thing to think about with the strength of schedule that they do have coming up is the majority of these teams, whether they are, above 500 or what have you. And I'll pull up the schedule here just to really get a good idea of what we're looking at. But it's really interesting in that any of the teams that are borderline sellers at this point, right? So, you look at that Pirates series, you look at that, obviously the Guardians and Yankees have been playing really good baseball, but the Diamondbacks in August, right? Are the Diamondbacks going to add at the deadline? They're 4th in their own division, right?
3 games back off the wild card.
It's a very, very, the Marlins will be by August debilitated. The Nationals probably debilitated, right? The Royals, I don't know if they're buyers. Are the Astros buyers? Like, are the Blue Jays buyers? Hell no. Are the Marlins going to be buying in September? I mean, obviously that trade deadline will have passed, but again, they'll be debilitated. Will the Mets buy, right?
Well, that's an interesting caveat. The Mets, you just don't know what their moves are going to be.
It's going to be really interesting. But I mean, yeah, the strength of schedule is very different. But at the same time, like a lot of these teams, the Rays in September, right? What will those teams actually look like at that point, right? It's on paper that schedule definitely seems a little bit stronger, but in reality, the majority of the teams I see on this schedule probably aren't buyers at the deadline. And it's a very interesting. Obviously, we'll have a lot more answers come a few weeks from now. But I don't know. I'm very interested.
You're talking yourself into the Phils doing it.
No, I already think they're winning the division at this point. I do think that this gap is really substantial, and something has to go really, really terribly wrong. Which many things already have, by the way. True. I mean, they were without Brendan Marsh, JT Realmuto, and Trey Turner for like a good chunk of the season already, and now are without Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber prior to the All-Star break, right? And still JT Realmuto, right? It is a very it's just a very interesting thing that's happening.
On the flip side of that, you could also say JT's been rested, Kyle's been rested, Bryce has been rested.
And that's the other thing too.
After the All-Star break, you're gonna have these guys coming in nicely rested.
But if the Phillies do have a million guys playing at the All-Star break, right? Yeah, they're going to be resting. They're going to be whatever. But they're still going to be engrossed in baseball action. A lot of these guys, it'll be their first All-Star game. Like, that's got to count for something in terms of your morale, right?
Absolutely.
I don't know.
I'm with you. I just feel the Phils are in a position. And I think coming out of July, if we're still 8-9 games ahead, which I think we actually could be, I think that's going to be too tough for the Braves to close down, and they're going to be involved in their own fight with the postseason. All-Star break we'll know the results probably this time next week, so we'll focus on that. Deadline coming up as well. We've just covered Tanner Scott, but how about this, guys? Bryce Harper, back-to-back Player of the Month, despite Otani's hot bat. Christopher Sanchez, Pitcher of the Month. The first time since May 1980 that the Phils have had a clean sweep of Player of the Month. Just another bit of history to this incredible season. Like I said last week, we just need like a complete. Well, we just need a no-hitter or a grand slam.
They got it last year.
And that's true. Had a grand slam. So in fact, the last 2 years we've pretty much done everything except win the World Series.
It's especially with Christopher Sanchez at this point. I mean, if you told somebody in 2023, even in 2020, or if you told somebody in 2022, even in 2023, that Christopher Sanchez was going to be 100 innings into the 2024 season with a 2.41 ERA.
The third in the National League.
Yeah, and also the fact that the Phillies have the 3 best ERAs in the entirety of the National League. I don't know what their reaction would have been, but mine would have been ridiculous because I have, since the day the trade happened, I have lamented the Curtis Mead trade. And now I just feel so dumb for it. And I've never been happier to look so foolish.
Oh, and by the way, hooray for the Rays. Like the amount of players we've now picked up from the Rays and just turned into these little gems has just been quite unbelievable.
It is really so now it's Christopher Sanchez, it's Jose Alvarado, and it's Michael Mercado. Michael Mercado was also a Ray who they traded to the Phillies for nothing.
A gift.
A 40-man roster crunch, and that was the person they decided to leave off. I just don't understand it, and we never really got to talk about the outing, but that is one of the. I'm telling you, and I've seen so many people.
Just briefly, Alex, what was it? Because obviously you watched the game. What was the most? What were you most impressed with Mercado's outing last night?
The cutter looked really good, and the cutter is a it's not a new pitch for him, but it's a built pitch for him. They really have focused a lot on emphasizing that cutter because obviously he relies primarily on fastball, curve, and cutter at this point. And it has become an organizational focus. George Klassen throws a really good cutter. Casey Stewart, who I'm a real fan of, has developed a really interesting cutter. There's a lot of guys in this organization that are becoming. That was like how Griff McGarry first found his like momentum. Was they gave him that cutter to tunnel off of his slider, and he took off from there. Right now, obviously, that story's ended up a little bit differently than we all expected.
Yeah,
but the cutter was working really, really well. I think it was this leading whiff pitch from yesterday. And I think the thing that's always going to impress me about him, the fastball, is one of the best in the organization. I think
his accuracy is unbelievable. Like,
well, it's not even the
highlights.
command of it. Yeah, the command of it isn't even my favorite part about it. The fact that you're a guy that for context, Seiya Suzuki, this is the one moment that sticks out to me really from last night. Seiya Suzuki, who is an elite hitter by all peripheral means, right? Not a great defender. He hasn't been exactly what the Cubs wanted him to be. He's a really freaking good hitter. Yeah. Michael Mercado had him on I think it was a 2-2 count. And rather than go to a cutter or a curve, go to something breaking that, or try and be deceptive outside of the zone or whatever. He just said, F it. I'm going to put 97 down the pipe and see what happens. Suzuki had no chance.
Smoked him. Was he standing? Looking?
No, he swung. He swung right through it, right under it, in fact, which is the IVB on Mercado's fastball is so good, and it always looks like it's rising, right? He is just that fastball is what led the Phillies to pursue him because that's the kind of fastball that you can tunnel a cutter off of and say, yeah, good luck, right?
And how exciting potentially that with Spencer going down, with Walker not giving us what we'd want. As a fifth starter, Mercado, he hasn't really got the pressure because he's a fifth starter. He's young.
He wasn't even a starter going into this.
Right. Exactly. So if you're Mercado, you haven't got a lot to lose. He's playing pitching stress-free. And again, with the team doing so well, with the buffer we have at the top, he can allow himself those few rookie mistakes, which you'd expect. But also, again, the pressure's off him. Just go out there and enjoy yourself and look at the results. He's not coming into this environment where it's a must-win game every time he steps in. I'm noting that we've got the bullpen behind him to back him up. If he does slip up, we've got some good arms to come in behind him. He's in a great position. The Phil's in a great position with Mercado. And wouldn't it be something if he is the Mercado that he could be and would have this top 5 rotational pitches of just under 3 ERA, pitching of late of the last few games. I know Nola's just over, but man, it's the Phillies. What is going on? It's unbelievable to even just talk about this and think about this and this bullpen we have and this rotation we have when we said the July days of just a couple of years ago, we had the historically worst bullpen in baseball. And now look what we're talking about. A fifth starter who looks like he could be a little gem. The bullpen just overall looks lights out. Yep. And we're talking about potentially this bullpen and pitching could give us, finally
what we've
a World
going
Series
for. Yeah.
It's
positives in all areas. That's the thing. It's across the board.
It really is. The winning games in all different ways. We've got we've got every sort of potentially everything. But let's just anyway. Look, I'm getting ahead of myself. Alex, this is your fault.
Stu, what were you going to say?
No, I was going to say about the Suzuki hit as well. Actually, that's the hit, the save there. That's what I was going to bring up as well because he just didn't bat an eyelid as well.
No, he
didn't even blink. He just walked off. Didn't look stressed, which is cool. And plus the fact most coaches thought he was just like a reliever as well before he even came in, and now obviously starting games, and he's probably going to go at least. If he gives me 5-6 innings, I'll be like so happy. That's all he needs.
Absolutely.
And the reason that they think that he's going to be a decent starter is because, when you have a fastball as good as his is, if you can, it doesn't matter if you're pumping 99, 100, whatever, it's going to look like that anyway. right? We're talking about a fastball that spins in excess of 2,500 RPMs. Like it looks so fast. And he's a big, lanky guy, right? So coming from that high off the mound, you can imagine why it's so deceptive. So if he can stick around that, the big thing is his last pitch, or his second to last pitch of the night last night, was 95.8 miles an hour, I think. So
They
96, right? No, hardly. I think 97 was the highest he got up to last night.
Right.
So it wasn't that he dropped. The big thing is he's sustaining.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that is
So-
something that the Phillies have been organizationally preaching in an age where the starting pitcher is disappearing. The Phillies have been preaching organizationally, we just want you to look, we don't want you to gas yourself out, in the first 3 innings. That's why you see guys like Gene Cabrera, Samuel Aldegari, George Klassen, guys that are maintaining velocity, going, 6 innings every outing in the minors, right? And doing so at a rate that is consistent for them, right? That is a big deal, and it's a big thing that the Phillies are doing differently that is paying huge, huge dividends for them. Because you see organizations, I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. You see organizations like the Dodgers, like the Rays, they try and maximize their value from a certain arm until that arm is bled dry and can't pitch anymore, right? You see them all, like I can't name a single Dodgers pitching prospect that hasn't been hurt since like
That's true.
Yeah.
Right? Bobby Miller just came off the injured list. Dustin May has hardly touched a major league mound in God knows how long. That was the guy that everybody was like, oh, is this the next Noah Syndergaard? Right? When Noah Syndergaard was good, right? Gavin Stone.
Although he's starting to, I think Gavin Stone's got the 4th best ERA or 5th.
Yeah,
best ERA
he's
now,
doing
but-
well. He came into the season hurt, right? All these guys are getting hurt. The Rays can't keep an arm healthy to save their life, right? Like, and granted, they still have guys that just keep stepping up, but like Pete Fairbanks was hurt the majority of last year. Shane McClanahan is hurt right now, right? Like all those guys that reach that elite status for them, they end up getting hurt, right? That hasn't happened for the Phillies at all. Touching wood, all those things, right? Aaron Nola hasn't dealt with a sustained injury for like his entire Phillies career, right? Zach Wheeler, pretty much the same. Outside of the nail that he broke zipping up,
yeah,
like that, and that can happen to anybody. But like all of these guys, right, even down to the bullpen, these guys are really they're staying predominantly healthy. Again, I'm knocking on so much wood right now, and I know that I'm getting us into trouble by even bringing this up.
Alex, look up with the Marlins series.
I know.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like this is an organizational foundation for the Phillies at this point, right? And that is really interesting because no other organization is preaching that at this moment, right? Everybody thinks the starting pitcher is dying, but the Phillies are really emphasizing, it existing in their organization.
And how the new way of getting through these starting pitches is.
Right.
And I love the touch by Kyle Schwarber last night, bringing Mercado to the front of the queue for the high fives. Just a class act. Just a class act. It's.
Oh, one thing I forgot to mention. Sorry, Dave. Sorry to cut you off.
Go on.
That, by the way, is something that I think is worth mentioning when it comes to looking at Mick Abel and evaluating Mick Abel's season, right? The Phillies are looking to help him sustain instead of, turning him into some arm that's super high effort for a couple of innings and then, kind of falls off a little bit, right? I don't know if that's what's going on with him, but, it's something to keep in mind. Right.
Absolutely.
Because the guy doesn't just like lose his command overnight. Anyway, sorry, Dave. Go.
No, you're all
My
good.
bad.
You're all good. By the time this podcast goes out, it's probably going to be tomorrow morning. So we would have played the second Cubs game. So I'll ask for a series prediction instead of how we see it going. And then also we'll do Braves because by the time we pod again, we probably had the Braves series. So Sam, a series, we'll ask for your predictions, series prediction against the Cubs to finish this series off, and then the big one this weekend. I know.
But it comes back to haunt you the next week. I'd like to see us sweep the Cubs. Can I see it happening? Yeah, I think we can.
Like it.
The Braves, that's the up in the air one. Like we said earlier, to get one out of those will be fine. They're far enough behind that we can lose that series quite comfortably and not not feel worried, not feel under pressure. But I can't see us losing. We won't get swept in either series. Beat the Cubs, sweep the Cubs, maybe 2-1 for the Braves series. This is 3 games, wasn't it? The Braves one.
It's a free game, mate. Yeah. The decider on Sunday.
Yeah.
Sunday.
I won't be
UK
disappointed
friendly.
with a 2-1 loss for that one.
I'm with you on that. And we'll find out on Sunday if you come to Passyunk
Yeah.
how close you were. Stuart?
Cubs. Who's it? So it's Shota versus Wheeler tonight, isn't it?
Good matchup tonight. Although
Yeah.
Shota's been struggling of late.
We were talking about that before, actually. Yeah, he's been struggling late, but if we get 2-1 in the Cubs and they give us Cody Bellinger, I'll be very happy. I'll take that.
One this guy.
The Braves. You know what? I've got a funny feeling that we go in there, if we make it hard for them, their fans might turn on them quickly as well. That's what fans that do turn up, obviously, as well. It's a tough one. I would take 2-1, I think. But
2.
Yeah.
Phils?
Yeah, I would take that. I'll be happy with that.
I think that game 1 of the Phils and Braves will, if we were to win that game 1, I think you're right. I think the pressure would be on Atlanta so much that the fans would then
throw garbage at them again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and game 1 will be pivotal in that whole entire series. Alex, what are you predicting? Cubs to finish this week, and then the Braves at the weekend.
I think I've jinxed us enough on this
that
podcast.
was bad for all of us.
I'm going to play conservatively here. I think they win this Cubs series. I think they could conceivably sweep it. I could absolutely see it happening. But you're dealing with a compromised lineup here, and you're dealing with a rotation that is nearing the All-Star break and is probably ready for a little bit of a rest. But I think a 2-1 Cubs series win would be great. I think it's totally conceivable, especially having already taken the game. If they could sweep, that'd be awesome. But I think 2-1 is nice and conservative. And then I think you're completely right, Dave. And my brain is telling me that the Phillies should take that series 2-1, specifically given the pitching matchups. I haven't really looked at the numbers, but it feels to me like the Braves would be struggling against left-handed pitchers right now. With no Acuna, with Riley is doing quite well, and obviously Ozuna is there as well. But like their platoon to Jared Kelenic, who is like their 3rd best hitter right now, is Adam Duvall, who's having like his worst season ever. So I don't know. I don't think they shove Kelenic in the lineup against those lefties. They could, because he's just swinging a hot bat right now. But one more time, Stu.
Sale's not playing, is he?
No, he's not.
Sale.
So it's Fried, it's Schwellenbach, and it's not Morton, Reynaldo Lopez. We just don't know the iteration in which they are being rolled out. But I don't know. I'm gonna conservatively say a 1-2 Phillies loss. Just because
reverse jinx. I like it, Alex.
Yeah, But I do think that the lefties should match up pretty. I think the offense is the big question mark, right? The lefties should match up really well against that lineup, specifically, when it's down Acuna. But I don't know.
I agree.
I can't be too positive.
Well, like you said, Dave, the great thing is the pressure's on them.
Exactly.
It's not on us.
Like for us, I think Suarez will go in game 1. It depends what Suarez we get. Again, he's a guy who looks like he could do with this All-Star break coming up, a little bit of a rest. However, the pressure's on them. So the Phils sort of go into this with, it's weird. We're sort of going into Atlanta with nothing to lose because the pressure's on Atlanta. We have this 9-game buffer. Could even be more by the time we get there. We've got a lot of injuries. So people are going to expect us to go into Atlanta and struggle anyway, with no Bryce, no Kyle, no JT. The bottom of the lineup on paper to everyone outside of the Phillies looks terrible, and it's just no pressure on the Phils. So if they can pick up a win, even 2 in a series win, it's massive for the Phils and it's a disaster for the Braves. And unfortunately for us, the All-Star break will probably come at the right time for them to sort of reset and go again.
Right.
But we could have a 9-10 game league going in the All-Star break, which is anybody's wildest dreams at the start of the season.
And the other really interesting thing that I feel like we're not all talking about, we're all talking about how the Phillies lineup is, kind of in the bin a little bit right now. And then we're talking about how the Phillies pitchers will match up against the Braves. It's not like Spencer Schwellenbach is killing it on the mound right now. It's not like Reynaldo Lopez didn't just show huge signs of fatigue in his last start. And it's not like the Phillies didn't hammer Max Fried the last time they saw him, if I'm not mistaken.
And it's not like their offense is firing on all cylinders, as we just said. So it's possible. Say the pressure's on him. This Cubs series, I think we win it. Amanga's really struggling. He allowed 10 runs against the Mets, allowed 3 runs against the Giants last time out. His ERA his last 7 games is 5.63, so he's dropped off a bit of a proverbial cliff recently. So I think we win tonight. Oh no, because that makes it sound stupid for people if we don't win listening in the morning. I say we take the series. We take the series 2-1.
On out. That's what you should do.
Yeah, record twice, so you can say, "Yeah, you're going to do this," and then we'll record another.
I really missed the trick there. I just feel we win that, and of course some glass half full, but I really feel the pressure's on them. I think we win this game 1. I think we take the series, and I think Mercado gets it on Sunday, and we're gonna win series 2-1. I really think that the pressure's on Braves, and they're even looking behind, and the Mets are a steam train right now. Ever since the London series, there's no London hangover for them.
It's the dude from McDonald's, wasn't it? That threw the first pitch.
Yeah, what is that? Why? It's just
Grimace.
Again,
Yes.
Only in baseball would you ever have that.
I've been to a couple Mets games since that happened. Every time Grimace shows up on the Jumbotron, there's a roar.
He's like a god now, isn't he? He's got like godlike status.
It's very odd. But whatever. What are you gonna do?
Hey, it's the Mets. Let them have their moment.
Let them have it.
I found
The
something.
Mets are always Mets. That's the thing, though. They're always going to Met eventually. So.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
By the way, that Spencer Schwellenbach, and how do you say it? I'm not even pronouncing Schwellenbach and ERA 5.63. He's really allowed 4 runs in his last 2 games. Yeah, he's not. He's not.
Well, he is quite good, and I am the thing that does make me nervous. He has a really good cutter, and when he's on, he's really good. He reminds me. It's a really easy comp, but he does kind of remind me of Corbin Burns a little bit, except without the command struggles that Corbin Burns had.
I think he's in line for game 1 from what I can see, but
that wouldn't surprise me. I think Phillies. What the Phillies are probably going to do is they'll put their best. They'll put who is it? Is it Sanchez and Suarez? Or it's Nola and Suarez. So Nola and Suarez will probably go against Schwellenbach and Lopez, and then they'll put they will. I'd imagine they're going to put Mercado up against Fried, who they would prefer.
You know what? I'm really looking forward to this Braves series now.
Oh, Dave,
bring it on! You've took me into it.
Stop it!
Really have. Let's go. Let's beat the Cubs. Bring on the Braves. Any road series wins are big, especially with the key players missing.
There
was just a. Oh, go ahead, Sam.
No, you're sorry. I was going to say the problem is as well. If your pitchers are shipping runs, Philly's the worst team to be playing. If your pitchers are giving up 4 or 5 runs a game, that's the big problem for everybody at the moment.
Apparently, in his pregame presser, Rob Thompson just talked about how he told all of the Phillies before yesterday's game about the who the NL player and pitcher of the month were, and he started with Bryce Harper. This is a Todd Zalecky, straight from a Todd Zalecky tweet. Started with Bryce Harper, and everybody was like, "Oh, of course, whatever." And then slow rolled that the pitcher of the month was Christopher Sanchez, and apparently the place went berserk.
Nice.
Nice.
So the vibes are appearing pretty good in that clubhouse at the moment.
I can even picture it, and just because it is every man for each other, and they're all it's a fact. We said it before in previous pods. It's like a family in that environment. guys, that is a wrap. Hopefully, this time next Wednesday we are not got egg on our faces like we from our.
I know I won't. I was delightfully
Yeah, you went conservative.
Yeah,
I
went
may
for
be the one,
a serious
especially if
loss,
England
I'll
get
take-
knocked out. In fact, by the time we pod again, England would have potentially played a semi-final by then as well.
Yeah.
We're knocked out.
Well, the funny thing is, I'm actually in Amsterdam next weekend. So if Holland do make it to the final,
Whoa!
Oh,
I need.
Oh, it'll be in England. It could be an England-Holland semi-final.
semi-final, yeah. So one of us will be there next weekend when I'm in Amsterdam. I hope it's England.
Well, they've still got to beat Turkey. Turkey looked pretty handy last night.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
well,
that was a great game. yesterday.
yeah. So by this next time we pod, England would have potentially played a quarter. If England's still in the Euros by next time we pod, I'm going to be in a fantastic mood, especially.
That will
Yeah,
be.
I
that will
won't
be
be
after
here.
the last semi-final.
Yeah, Wednesday. Yeah, we would have had it. So we'll probably pod next. Alex, you back on Thursdays next week? This is probably a discussion.
I
for
think.
pod, but...
We'll talk about it after.
We'll talk. Yeah, yeah. People don't listen to this. Right. Yeah, we will see you next week. Well, hopefully we have beaten the Cubs. We have. Who knows against the Braves?
Results
I'm
against
excited
the
for it now.
Hopefully, they're still 9 games up on the division. By
I
the
will
time
say,
we
yeah, if
pod.
we're still 9 games up when we pod next week, I will be delighted. Hopefully, see some of you guys at Passyunk this weekend coming. But for me, Dave Shaw, it is Ring the Bell from Stu,
ring the bell.
Sam,
Ring the bell.
yes, and Alex.
Ring the bell, Dave.